Welcome back. Week 9, recovering a sense of compassion. And you might be tempted in this chapter to abandon ship, but Julia says do not, because again, we are looking at some hard truths and at some emotional work which might seem a bit difficult and might be a bit, tricky to look at. But it is a really good chapter, so let's dive right in. First, fear. So the thing about fear is you have to really call it what it is and do not give it other names like this is laziness, this is procrastination, or whatever kind of words you can come up with. No, it is fear of failure, fear of not progressing the way you want to. And by naming it what it is, you take away some of its power, but you're also able to really look at it and not kind of look down on yourself and be like, oh, maybe I'm just lazy. No, there's a fear there. And one way to go through that fear and work on it is through love. Following that, enthusiasm. So here Julia discusses, and I think I do agree with it, that yes, of course, discipline and work ethic is important, because if you're following a goal, you want to keep showing up for yourself. But if it's just pure discipline with nothing behind it, after a while it becomes really, really difficult. And I've made those experiences where it was pure willpower. And at some point you will get tired and you won't be able to put as much behind it. Or even if you do, then other parts of yourself become not as joyful. And the best way to handle those situations, if you want to follow a path, if you want to follow a goal, is through enthusiasm. And here she says, enthusiasm is grounded in play and not work. Going back to that, it is all about the journey, and that the journey basically is the goal, and just finding enjoyment in there. Because even if you set yourself an hour a day and say, okay, 1 hour a day I'm working on my goal, so there you have the discipline. But when you then show up for that 1 hour, what you will bring is the enthusiasm, the play, the joy for it, because that will also bring much different results. And at some point, if you're just there with discipline, the thing that you enjoy in the beginning can fade, and you wonder why that happened. And it's because you just focus on the output, 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 but not the kind of play and the input of things. Then we have creative U-turns, so situations where you maybe were close to getting somewhere, uh, getting some kind of result of what you've been working towards, but just shortly beforehand, you just go right back to what you knew before and you stop working on your goal. The glare of success can send the recovering artist scurrying back into the cave of self defeat. We're more comfortable being a victim of artist's block than risking having to consistently be productive and healthy. And a successful creative career is always built on successful creative failures. And the first step to going back to that U turn, and this time progressing, is to accept it, like acknowledge it, and then ask for help. Ask someone who has already reached that milestone and ask them how did they do it. And again, small, tiny steps. And last but not least, blasting through blocks. So looking at what you fear, look at what you resent in connection to your goal. Is it a situation? Is it people? Or just a certain circumstance? And just write down a list and then look at the list and ask yourself, is that really everything, or is there more? And the morning pages for me were a really great way to just kind of keep writing about it. It's really interesting what can come out from that. And then also asking yourself, well, what was the what do I gain from, staying in those feelings and staying stuck in that? And that then goes directly into the tasks. I took, again, 2 weeks for this chapter, as I'm busy and I want to make sure I give it the time and the attention it deserves and not just go through it for the sake of it. So basically, making sure I'm there with the enthusiasm and not just the discipline. And the one exercise about the U-turns was really, really interesting to kind of look back at it, and I've looked at a U-turn where I also came to realize that the reason why I did a U-turn was because I wasn't ready. And now I am, because I've learned a couple of things. And back then, I think I tried to approach the way I was working with discipline, but no enthusiasm. So no wonder it was hard for me to continue. So I love how that connects and how I was able to see the connection there, but also understand why I didn't do it, and also be okay with that and be at peace with that, because you didn't want to look back at it and then keep regretting it. That's just, yeah, it's not a great way to go through your day, right? And then I did the morning pages every single day, I think. I just did one art estate. I simply forgot last week, so I will remind myself this week to definitely do it. And that is everything that was in this chapter. So let's pick a card. Signs and reminders. So this is basically just to remind us to look for signs, and then when we get signs, it basically means that we are on the right path and that we can call in help. We are not alone. And yeah, sometimes we get a bit busy in life and can't or are not willing to see any kind of signs, but yeah, this is a reminder to be open to the signs and look at them, and then when you see it, ask for help. Maybe you're not alone. I will be back with week 10, recovering a sense of self-protection.